Then the mainly task of the data link layer is to provide the services to the network layer. Any layer will provide services to its upper layer. So all we will remember that. So every layer will provide the services to its upper layer, and every layer will get the services from its lower layer. That means every layer will request for services from its lower layer. So the same way as the data link layer is the second layer and network layer is the third layer. So the data link layer is going to provide the services to the network layer. So the principal or main service for the data link layer providing to the network layer is whatever is network layer is sending, the data link layer will accept it as it is, and it will be delivered to the network layer at the receiver side. So at the sender side, the data link layer will accept the information and it is being handed over to the network layer at the receiver side. So it looks like the data link layer is communicating the directly data link layer with the receiver. So logically it is layer to layer communication. Corresponding layers will communicate if we think about logically, but physically it is top down while sending and bottom up while receiving. That is from application to physical, then from physical of sender to the physical of receiver, then physical of receiver to the application of the receiver. So actually speaking is that is the path, but logically corresponding layers are going to be communicated. So data link layer of sender to data link layer of receiver, physical layer of sender to physical layer of receiver, network layer of sender to network layer of receiver likewise. So that main task is accept the information from the network layer and hand over the same thing to the destination network layer by the data link layer. While doing this task, whatever frames it is sending, so it has to do other things like how the receiver is going to identify from where it is coming, whether it belongs to the same receiver or not. That will be taken care by the data link layer with the header part by including the or attaching the sender and receiver addresses, then the size of the frame, then as the trailer, the error checking mechanism. So by including all these things, so it is helping the receiver data link layer to identify whether received information belongs to the same receiver or not, and if it belongs to the same receiver, and identify whether there is any errors or not. So these are the main services the data link layer will provide to the network layer. So properly delivering the information at the receiver network layer. That is the main role of the data link layer. So if you see this, see here whatever is coming from the network layer, the data link layer will accept and deliver to the network layer at the receiver point by the data link layer. So virtual path is a layer to layer communication. But physically speaking, the network layer, whatever is handing over to the data link layer, then it is going to kept in the frame. The frame will be handed over to the physical layer. Physical layer will transmit that frame as a bit stream. Then the bit stream will be received by the receiver physical layer. Then the bit stream will be again handed over as a frame to the data link layer. Then the receiver data link layer will verify the frame header, whether that particular frame belongs to this receiver or not. If it belongs to this receiver, further process. If it doesn't belong to this receiver, then the frame will be rejected or discarded at this point. Then if that belongs to this receiver, and then with the help of trailer, it is going to verify for the errors. If no errors are there, then the information will be handed over to the network layer for further processing, and it is going to send the confirmation to the sender as an acknowledgement that whatever received is okay. Suppose whatever is received is not correct, if there are some errors, then the data link layer will discard that. Because of the errors, it is not going to deliver to the network layer. So simply the error frame will be discarded at the data link layer, and it is going to send a negative acknowledgement to the sender, so that sender will retransmit the same frame again. So whatever the frame it is sending at the sender, that frame will be still kept in the buffers of the sender site. So the moment the sender receives the acknowledgement from the receiver data link layer that the frame received is correct, then the buffer will be purged. So whatever data or frame present stored in the buffers will be removed only at that moment. Then the next data will be stored in the frame. Next data will be accommodated into the frame. So that is how it is. If a negative acknowledgement is received, already that frame is readily available in the buffers. Immediately that frame will be retransmitted again. And while doing this, so this particular data link layer will start a timer. So the moment the frame is being handed over to the physical layer, so the data link layer will start a timer. Before the timer expires, the data link layer should receive the confirmation from the receiver. If the sender data link layer doesn't receive the confirmation from the receiver within the deadline of the timer, then the same frame will be retransmitted by assuming that whatever earlier frame, whatever it transmitted is lost somewhere in the path. That is why the receiver is not sending the confirmation. That is how the sender data link layer will assume. So for that reason, it is going to use a timer. So the time period will be decided appropriately by assuming that what is the round trip time. That round trip time means the time taken by the frame to move from the sender data link layer to the receiver data link layer, and the receiver data link layer will prepare the response, that is the confirmation or acknowledgement, and sending back again the travel time of the acknowledgement from the receiver to the sender. So this entire time is what we are going to take it as round trip time. Then the timer will be set a little more than the round trip time. So within the timer expires, so sender data link layer should receive the confirmation from the receiver. If it receives before the timer expires, if it receives, and if it is a positive acknowledgement, then existing frame in that buffer will be deleted and a new frame with a new data will be prepared, and again it is going to transmit. Again the timer will be turned on. This is how the data link layer will be performing the job for delivering the information accepted at the sender side to the receiver's network layer. This is the main task of the data link layer.